So today we have with us someone who has lent his voice to numerous iconic TV commercials. He's an actor, voiceover artist, comedian, and a voice coach. Please welcome Ashwin Mushran. Thank you so much for joining me today, Ashwin.
Thank you, Tanu. So many things you mentioned of all that I do. Yeah. I like to say jack of all trades and master of some as well. I know people say master of none, but I think you can master a whole bunch of different things.
So okay, let's start from the beginning. How did your journey as an actor begin? And as this is a '90s podcast, what were you doing in the '90s?
I have always wanted to be an actor. I have always said that ever since I was little. It was something that I wanted to do. Now, why I wanted to do it, I didn't know. But I was always performing from school to college to everywhere else. And I sometimes think my father's an engineer, but he could have been a really fine actor as well because he used to be in all the colony plays. Every time there was a play, my dad was in that when we used to do all the community plays. And later on, I was also in that. But while I was in Hindu college, I joined a theater group there. Not in college, but there's someone called Roshan Abbas who used to be the host of Family Fortunes, and a lot of people know who he is. He was senior to me in school. I count him as my friend as well, and someone who's also a teacher and a mentor. And he was the first person to rag me in college, literally. So he had called me. He saw me, called me, and after he'd spent some time with me, making me do some silly stuff, he said, I am going to take you to a theater group, and that was Stage Door. So my journey in theater in Delhi started from that, and all through my college, university days in Hindu college, apart from doing plays at college, I was also doing plays with Stage Door, and that taught me more than I think any school could have taught me because you were actually doing it evening after evening. You were traveling. You sometimes, when we traveled as well, we did two plays, one play on one day, another play on the other day. So it taught everything from being on stage to putting up sets, from being backstage to doing your makeup, just to do everything in production as well while you were there. And I wasn't quite sure where life was going, but I applied to drama schools in the UK. And I'd applied to all the big ones, and they'd said, come for an audition, because that's what everybody does. But one drama school called the Drama Studio London, which is a fairly well-known school, took me on the basis of the tape I'd sent, because they'd said for international students, we allow submission of tapes. So they accepted me from that, and I went off to drama school in the UK. And you asked, what was I doing in the 90s? That was the mid-90s. So I went off to do drama school in the UK. And once I'd finished, I stayed there for a while looking for work. That was incredibly different because I got to tell you the truth. The creative industry or the acting industry in general, if you want to be an actor, you need support. I don't think anybody in the creative line makes it on their own. You need friends, you need family. I know people will say, but you cannot be an overnight success like that. And out there, all my friends had their homes to go to when they were in trouble. I didn't have that. And I looked for work. I did extra jobs as well. Believe it or not, I was an extra in Star Wars: Phantom Menace, a movie called Iris with Kate Winslet, and I'm dancing cha-cha right next to her because I was doing salsa dancing at that time as well. I became a pretty good salsa dancer. A lot of people don't know that,
Wow.
but I danced salsa for many, many years, and I'm dancing cha-cha right next to her. And
Wow.
I did a lot of extra work, and that was fun. It actually paid pretty well. People say,
Mhm.
don't do these things, don't be an extra. And I completely disagree with that because it is better doing that than working as a waiter, than working at an office, working at a call center. At least you're on a set learning something. You're on a
True.
set with all these people learning something, and you're getting paid for it. I think in those days, I used to get 80 to 100 pounds a day for being an extra. And that's how decently you're paid as an extra out there. So I know why so many people do it. Of course, you want
Mhm.
to do more, but you're still having fun learning. So yeah, I was in Star Wars Phantom Menace. I got to watch Liam Neeson, I got to watch Ewan McGregor, I got to watch all these people. I shot, I think, 10, 15 days on that. And of course, all the things they shot with you, they with CGI, they made all of you thousands of people more. So you can never, I was citizen of Naboo. So that was good fun. So I really advise people, don't listen to people's advice who've
Yeah,
never done it.
yeah, true.
Because there's so many famous actors who you watch now, whether mostly a lot in Hollywood, and you see that they're so famous now, and then you go back to the early things and you see the tiny, tiny walk-on parts, and some of them were even like background characters.
Mhm.
So just do the job.
Yeah.
Be at the place where you love being at, is what I think. So I was there through the 90s when you were saying this is a 90s podcast, and I said, Tanu, you do know that at least from 6 years of the 90s, I wasn't in India. And you said, no, no, it's fine. It's okay. We'll work around that. Not that I completely missed what was going on in India, but I was
Yeah.
away for that period of time. But
Yeah.
I was becoming or trying to be an actor. And eventually I came back to India because my sister said, come on, come back now. Things are changing in India. Come back and just see what's possible. I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe if I was at the time, when Channel V and MTV exploded, right?
Yes, yeah.
We missed
Yeah.
that time. And maybe if I was there around, and a lot of those people are my friends,
Yeah.
maybe if I was around at that time, maybe I would have been doing something else in the industry because
Yeah.
I would have been at the time where people would have actually used me in the way that I could have been used then. But
Mm.
you can't look at life with regret in that way because everything you do in the past shapes who you are now as well. Every decision you made, everything you've done also takes you to the point where you're at now. So I don't think regret should be in order. I think it's just a journey that you have to accept and you have to appreciate. So I came back in the early 2000s, if that was what you were going to ask.
Like, I'm a huge fan of Lagero Munna Bhai, and
Thank you.
your role was an integral part of that movie. And how did the role of Hari Desai, come your way? Like when you were told that you're going to be working on that film, what
Yeah.
was your first reaction?
Munna Bhai MBBS was a massive hit. Everybody watched it. It was a huge hit. At that time, I was in a show called The Great Indian Comedy Show. And I think it is possible that I was called for the test because I had been seen on that. So you get called for a test. You know that the first movie is a massive hit. It wasn't my first film. I'd already done 2 or 3 movies. It wasn't because I think it was released in 2006. It was still one of my very early films. And you get called for a test. And of course, you go for it. But you go for it not expecting anything. You go for it thinking, uh, they're going to offer me a small part, which technically it was. If you look at I've done bigger parts in movies as well. This is a much smaller part. And I did the test, forgot about it. They called me back and they said, yeah, we'd like to offer you the role. That was it, around 3 days of shooting, I think maximum 4 days. And I shot it without hoping for anything, you can say, because you just want to do the job. It seemed like a good part. And it's a great character. I just went into Punjabi, great character there. I don't know how I did that. It's a great character. And you're shooting with Sanjay Dutt, of course. And you're shooting with Raju Hirani. And you get to also shoot a tiny bit with Vidya Balan being around that day. So it's all great fun. I shot for it. And you got to remember, those are not social media days, right? This is pre-social media. So you don't think about anything else once you finish those projects. There is no way to talk about it online. There's no way to say anything. It's only when something comes out that you see the impact. And I'd already done commercials, of course. I was already in a little bit of TV, a couple of movies, small parts. But then this film came out, and overnight, I was a recognizable face. For
True.
some reason, this character and these scenes and this part of the story really, really resonated with people. And I think it has to do with the whole family aspect of Indian culture. Because I treat my
True.
father really badly, and people got so upset by it. The amount of abuse I get online still from people.
Yeah.
And I have to say, bro, it's just a character. That's not me.
Especially the scene that we just spoke about, the way he hangs you out of the balcony, and
Yes.
it's a 5 minutes long scene, where you actually confront Sanjay Dutt, and there's a whole conversation. He's trying to chase you around, and
Yeah,
was
I
that?
have to push him down as well, which I said, oh my
Yeah,
God. I told him, is it okay? He's like, yeah, yeah, of course you can do that. Because that's when he looks up like this. He goes, you're like,
yeah.
oh. And then it cuts to the other scene. The thing about scenes, usually well written scenes don't need to be acted out that much. The better writing is, the easier it is to act it out because the writing is so good. So, yes, always you stick to what is in the scene, and especially when you have a director, Raju Hirani, that scene is in the head. So, I don't like to change things. But as an actor, when you do things, things just happen in a scene as well. So, you write out things, but me saying you want to fight, it's not written like that. It just comes out in a certain way. And in fact, I remember Sanjay Dutt all these years ago bursting out laughing, saying, how can I keep a straight face with him doing this? Because I'm so much shorter than him. Fight, you want to fight. And then I had to push him as well. And I push him down. Afterwards, I went, are you okay? And he looks up at me. And the next thing, they're hanging you. So things just change in the way that an actor just does the lines. But I believe you should always stay to the core of the scene, to the core of the story, and don't try and improvise and change that too much because it's been so well written. If you're going to change something that's well written, you're going to get something that's not there. So
True.
things happen in the scene which is playing around as an actor, and you don't really see that improvisation, but that does happen. But because the scene is so well written, an actor is allowed to play around. In fact, I just recently shot for an ad with Sanjay Dutt and Arshad Wasi because Raju Hirani had called. It was an Acco insurance commercial which was out. And he called and he said, Ashwin, I don't want you as the same character, but I want the connection between all of you. And then
Yeah.
while we were shooting, he said, Chalo, let's do a line from the film. I said, yeah, I'll do you want to fight because it fits. And again, Sanjay started laughing. He started laughing again. He said, all these years ago, he made me laugh then. He's still making me laugh now. So it was nice shooting with them. It was like a whole circle coming back together when somebody calls you to do something like that. But I like to, with directors like this, I stick to how the scene is written because I know it's been written for a specific purpose. Unless a director says, go ahead, do something different.
So, like, other than that, any memorable moment from the set, like when you first time you went on the set, anything that you remember?
I think being hung upside down should be memorable to anybody. I just wanted to get that scene done with as fast as possible because I did not want to be hung outside somewhere for 3 hours.
Was that really being done? Like, I thought maybe a little bit of
No,
something
no,
like
of course there
some.
was. So there's this building in Oshiwara, that side, and
Yeah,
it is actually the building that they show.
yeah.
And they built around 4 or 5 floors of that exactly. So it gave it that level look. So we built those floors exactly, and the rest of it was CGI. Then the rest of the building was created CGI, but that building actually exists. So we
Oh,
did it in a studio, but they built quite a few levels because easier doing that and to control it there than trying to do it on a location somewhere. So yeah, but I was actually I did everything hung
were
upside down, and
you
you're like, and you're like, I
were
got to
you
remember my
scared of
lines.
doing that?
And no, you got a harness, you got a stunt director out there, so I'm not scared. You have to
Okay,
trust people. I'm just worried about doing it for a long period of time because of blood rushing to your head. You got to get your
true,
lines out here. Sanjay Dutt is
true.
like that. Yeah, but I am the other way around. So I wanted to get that over with. So luckily we got through that pretty quickly. And I still get people saying, वो balcony से balcony पे वो नए grills लगवाने हैं and all that. I do that line where I'm telling my wife, And then what's great about the scene is that they flip it around
Yeah.
and they show what's happening. And like, just do it, just do it. First it starts very sweet. I think the beauty of that is just how, hi
Yeah.
Bindu, how are you doing? Bindu, just and then let's do this, ye karo, or carpenter ko bulao. It's still
Yeah.
people still quote those lines to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually do like that, how people remember the lines that you said and how they remember your dialogue and they say that back to you. Always takes
Definitely.
me aback how much people remember. Because to
Definitely.
us as actors, this is just a job. Like somebody goes to an office, this is just what we do. And then you see how people look at you in a certain way because you're doing TV, because you're doing movies. And they look at it in a different way. I don't look at it the same way.